And, oh, it's 8 o'clock. It's time to start. 8 o'clock, everybody. Welcome to Lawrence. I'm your host, CatBoy, for the evening. I'm going to try and carry this show as best I can until some comedians show up. Because we're getting live updates on the live feed of Doc Grunn's situation. Apparently, his neighborhood is blacked out, so I'm assuming he's grabbing his laptop and he's running off from a McDonald's or a Starbucks or somewhere that's got free Wi-Fi. You know what he should do? He's in a college town. He should just go over to, what's the big college over in Washington and just suck up their bandwidth. That's what I do. Do it all the time. Yeah, sometimes I get caught for it. All right, moving on to the first thing, and this is really the only thing that I came prepared to talk at length about tonight, and that is, of course, everyone knows I've been talking about SL11B, which is coming up. I will be attending there as, you can see above my head, it says trainee. I'm a greeter, and I'm also an exhibitor. Lauren is going to be performing comedy, I believe. Although this is not confirmed, Lauren will be the opening act on Sunday night. They would be a fool to go with anyone else, in my opinion, really. Yeah, Lauren's going to be there for that. But in any case, Lauren is performing. A lot of people here are going. There's, Relay for Life teams. It's going to be pretty big. And I already mentioned what I did last year. Now, this year, they have a specific theme, and you're going to get a kick out of this. And this year, the theme is man's vision for the future as we kind of thought about it, the ideas that we had for it in the past. And the quote came from, the original quote of the builders of the future came from Winston Churchill. That was around the 40s and 50s that he said that. So a lot of people, myself included, we're all trying to build things that sort of look like like the World's Fair, for the New York World's Fair from 1964 type thing, right? Or something from Disneyland, except it's Tomorrowland, that sort of thing. And I came up with an idea. I have my idea for the theme. My idea this year is really bad ideas that we had for nuclear power back in the 1950s. And what I'm going to do is I actually built a model of all these things that they actually intended to build, but they never went through with it because it blew up in their face or caused all kind of problems or money or whatever. And I'm going to show these things in order of the least crazy idea to the most crazy idea that they came up with, all right? So out of all of the things that they came up with in the 1950s, I'm going to have to go into my inventory and pick this out for it. It's all in the same place, so it's not going to be too difficult to find. Who here has organized their inventory lately? No one. But I have, because I don't have a choice. Okay. This is something that they actually got Einstein to work on back in the 1950s, if you want a big name. So this was not something that was just some pie-in-the-sky thing. This was something they actually intended to build. It was a rocket that worked on, they had two ideas. This idea you're looking at is a sustained nuclear reaction, where the nuclear reaction would generate a great deal of heat, and they would simply inject helium or hydrogen into that heated chamber, and it would come out at a velocity much greater than what you can get from a normal chemical reaction. That was the most realistic one they came up with. Somebody came up with one that was actually even more ambitious than that, and that was they wanted to have fissionable material that went critical but at periodic times. So what they were literally thinking about generating was something that ran on nuclear explosions that would go off all of the time. And they said, well, wouldn't this destroy the craft? And they said, no, if you can make like really small ones, it would just sort of propel the craft forward, but it would just be a series of explosions. Of course, that would never work on the ground, but it would work in space. And they did say that this could work, but there's a problem. It's only really good for if you want to go someplace really far away. And on top of that, you would eventually kill your crew because they would die of gamma radiation poisoning once they've been exposed to nuclear explosions steadily for 2 years. So that was the thing that sort of killed this idea. Although one thing I thought was really cute is if you look at the very top of the rocket, if that looks familiar, that is based off a drawing of something that eventually became the shuttle. So that was one thing they got right back in the 1950s. Of course, it looks like a dart that was meant to kill somebody. But that was their original idea for the shuttle, and it's pretty close. I'd have to say that's pretty darn close. But this is the sane idea, all right? This is the sane idea. Everything gets crazy from here, all right? Now, what's the next most crazy thing they came up with? All right, here it is. No, the locomotive. Now, here's something that was being developed in Canada and the United States. This is a nuclear-powered locomotive. Nuclear-powered steam locomotive. They were dead serious about making this, and this was actually in development, and it didn't drop out of development out of the 50s, because the 50s is where they come up with these crazy ideas. Usually, most of those ideas died in the 50s. This idea lasted until the 1970s. Where they wanted to actually build this thing. And one of the reasons why they were dead serious about actually making it for real was the British. If you look it up, they proved that you can crash a train at 100 miles an hour with nuclear material on board and it won't leak. And if you look it up on YouTube, there is a video of this, of them crashing a train at 100 miles an hour with a nuclear thing on board. And that thing, whatever that package is, remains intact, but it just demolished the daylights. It's like Mythbusters on steroids. They had 150 tons of trains slamming into one of these trains by 1950s dollars would have cost $1.5 million, and because of the restricted size of the reactor, because this thing is full of nothing but shielding, you can only get about 7,000 horsepower out of it. Now, your average locomotive is capable of producing 8,000 horsepower, and it runs on diesel, and it definitely does not cost $1.5 million. So why would you need to build this then? Right? And they said, well, it would pay for itself in its lack of diesel fuel, but for that to be true, it would have to remain in service for 60 years to pay for itself, which is just not going to happen. And of course, if it ever really did crash, who the hell knows? It would be a freaking disaster. Now, there's something you really would not want to crash once they got it up and running was this thing. Oh, it's gigantic. Hold on, I got to shrink this down. Where's the rotate button here? Actually, you know what? That's not it. That's here. Where is it? Because I built it in scale. There it is. There it is. Now, I'm going to show you two things. Does anyone remember the XB Valkyrie bomber? Right? Now, the Valkyrie bomber. Right. Now, if you know how big that bomber was, this bomber here is in scale to the Valkyrie bomber. The big one is the Northrop nuclear-powered bomber. This is a bomber, or a giant jet, which would actually have engines that would run on nuclear power. How the hell do you build a jet that runs on nuclear power? Well, I'll tell you. A jet needs superheated air that goes into a jet, like you just have aerosol gas that you set on fire, which generates a great deal of heat. That heat gets in the engine, it produces propulsion. This works by having a nuclear reactor generating a massive amount of heat of air blasted by the reactor, and then it comes out the back. And they wanted this thing to fly. And you want to know how serious they got with this? They actually built the engine for real, and they proved that it would work, that the principle worked. They never installed that engine into an airframe, by the way. But the original idea was, I don't know if you remember this, back in the 1950s, they didn't have ICBMs back in those days. All they had were bombers, which they had to keep in the air 24 hours a day to protect everyone from being killed by Russia. And they said, well, we need a bomber that could stay up for weeks at a time, sort of like a submarine. So they decided, well, let's build a nuclear-powered bomber, and they built this. Well, no, they didn't build that, but that was the idea. That never got off the drawing board. The XB-70 was a real airplane. It got off the drawing board. It originally was supposed to have a nuclear-powered ramjet engine, an idea which they gratefully abandoned as quickly as it came up with it. They didn't go through with it because what would happen if this thing crashed? It's basically a mini Chernobyl that rains from the sky. But fortunately, they never went through with this. Okay, now I'm going to show you the craziest idea of all, of the things they really shouldn't think. This is like things you really should not be doing with nuclear power, and this is the craziest idea that they had. I might have to shrink this down a little. It's a bit big. Oh, goodness gracious, it materialized in the audience. Ah! Oh, come on, camera, camera. Oh, I hate it when I try to zoom around and it catches onto an invisible frame. Okay, what I'm going to do is I got to shrink this down. Come on, shrink. Come forward. There we go. Rotate. There we go. This is a nuclear-powered car. Now, if you go to Google and type in the words Ford Nucleon, you will see this car. Ford, actually, in 1956, they came up with the idea of building a nuclear-powered car. Now, you'll notice that this thing has a very weird shape to this, and there's a reason for that. There's a reason why it looks the way it does. It kind of looks like a giant pickup truck, which is basically what it is. You know, like you'll notice, take a look at this. The steering wheels are behind the cabin. Now, why is that? Why would you put the steering wheel behind the cabin? Why can't you just put the wheels right here at the very end like you would with a normal car? Well, there's a reason for that. There's a nuclear reactor in the back of this thing that's under a massive amount of heavy shielding, and it makes the car weigh about 20,000 pounds. And the problem is, if you put the wheels at the end here, the car is going to bend in the middle and it's going to break. And the only way that you could work around that is that you would have to put extra wheels in the middle here, like a six-wheeled car, to keep this thing from falling apart from under its own weight. But somebody in Ford said, no, a car does not have six wheels. It has to be a four-wheeled car. I know, of all people, Ford building this thing. Anybody else, Toyota, Kia, anyone, BMW, even a Volkswagen. No, Ford was going to build this. And you just wonder, like, wow, that's just a disaster waiting to happen. But here's the funny part. This is something that I absolutely love about this idea they came up with. Is take a look at the front here. Okay, now you notice there's something in the back that looks like a roulette wheel. You see that? And if you take a look in the front, there's these little vents on the front of this car. There's a vent here and an identical one on the other side. Okay, now, the reason why those vents are there is that as the car is moving down the highway, the air helps cool the reactor. But they're there for another reason, and that is reactors are cooled by fluid. Now, this car is going to be really heavy. It's going to ride really low. If you crash into something like a speed bump, it's going to bust the frame of the car, and all of that fluid that's supposed to keep the reactor from melting down is going to leak out of the car. So what are your options in cooling down the reactor? You put your foot down and you drive this thing as fast as you can to keep the reactor from melting. Boy, you thought speed had a hell of a... remember speed? If you drop below 50 miles an hour, the bus is going to blow up. You drive this thing below 100 miles an hour and a nuclear reactor is going to go China syndrome in your back seat. Okay? Damn it, somebody made a movie of that. That would be just awesome. And that is the craziest idea that they had over things that you really should not run on nuclear power. And all of that is going, by the way, will be on display over at SL11B. So I'm going to go through some...
Breaking news. This is CNN coming in with breaking news again.
Gotta hear this.
We have just determined that Doc Grun will be unable to be here at this time. If Doc Grun is able to be here at some future time, we will break in and keep you informed. Stand by and stay on CNN to keep up with the latest news. We now return you to your regular programming.
I'm sure you're all grateful for that update that Doc Grun is not available to be here at this time, because if he was available to be here at this time, he would be here. He would just be here. He would just show up. Obviously, he's not. Okay, there's somebody
That's
at
how we
Terra
know he's
Titan.
not available.
Okay, I didn't see. A couple of ladies came in. There's Terra Titan, who sort of looks like China's bigger sister from the WWE. And somebody else, Kia Slade, and welcome to the show, everybody. Now I'm gonna go through some of my older stuff that I put aside just in case for something like this. And I went through 2012. Does anyone remember the 2012 Olympics that happened in London, England? 2012. It was a. I know that a lot of people are making a fuss over like Brazil was a bit of a mess. It's going to be a mess. They're not prepared. A lot of the venues are not ready to go. Even for this year, the FIFA World Cup apparently is going to be in big trouble. But the Olympics in London were a bit of a mess. People were being thrown in jail for Twitter comments. Does anyone remember this? Officiating made huge mistakes. People were getting disqualified for deliberately throwing matches. Does anyone remember that? That was in a soccer tournament. South Korea, China, Indonesia all had teams thrown out because they're deliberately trying to lose because no one wanted to go against the Chinese team. Officials said that these women, it was the women's league that was doing this, were a disgrace to the noble sport that has made men look like ridiculous prancing little dandies since the mid-18th century. Oh, I'm sorry, did I offend someone? You want badminton to be taken seriously? Shuttlecock. Take that seriously. Yeah. I remember a while ago, Olympic officials said they were only going to allow, oh my God, I remember this. Well, they were only going to allow women boxers compete if they were going to wear skirts. Imagine Tara Titan in a skirt going up there. Like, Tara Titan looks like she can handle some boxing. Like, let's put her in WWE against Bronson or something, right? Skirt. I look more at home in a skirt than any boxer. They said they could. Oh, the referees needed them to be in skirts so they could tell them apart from the man. Did you see how that referee totally screwed up the fight between Iran and Azerbaijan? Maybe we should be listening to them because these referees are literally that blind and that stupid. Okay, three boxing referees from the London Olympics were sent home. One referee was disqualified, a heavyweight athlete, for clenching less than a minute into the fight. After that, one of the fighters from Angola refused to go out. He said, "If we're going to get disqualified for clenching, someone is liable to hit me. I don't want that to happen." Not happening. Some people just don't want to get out of bed in the morning. God, I remember tomorrow morning I have a meeting with the people that are training everyone for I'm sorry for for SO11B. One of the poor girls that's doing the training, she is just not a morning person. I can't remember her name right now. Does anyone remember who are the big managers? It's not Mary McCann. It's one of the other ladies, right? And she told me that last year, because she lives on the West Coast, if we're getting up at 9 in the morning, that means she has to be up at 6 and ready to go. Right? She said the last time I was up at 6 in the morning, I put all my tampons in the coffee pot and I flushed all my beans down the toilet. That was supposed to be funny. Okay. Well, it shows where this event's going. All right. Piers Morgan is about to get kicked off of CNN. Has anyone heard? Oh, it's breaking news. CNN. Piers Morgan's on his way out. His show's being canceled. With all the bitching and moaning he's been doing lately that the athletes are not singing the British national anthem at at the soccer matches, please tell him that this is a soccer match, not Britain's Got Talent. All right, these people spent a lifetime making themselves finely honed physical athletes in the history of the world, and you expect them to sing "God Save the Queen" in front of 1 billion people on top of everything else. And they better be brilliant, or it's a flogging for the lot of them. You know what? If they do it, I hope they sing the Sex Pistols version, and then they get locked up in the London Tower to be beheaded or something like that. That would make a lot of news. And can we please leave the singing to the fat lady standing in front of the orchestra pit, or either that, or Elton John? Same thing, right? Same thing. Okay, somebody named Stephen Feck during the London Olympics made internet infamy with a disastrous dive that landed him flat on his back on the water. Who here has done that? Okay, I've done that just from, jumping from the edge of the pool. This guy did it from 15 meters up, landed flat on his back. Can you imagine what that would have felt like? It's probably like being greeted with a slap on the shoulder from the Incredible Hulk or Terra Titan over there. Just slam. How you doing? Ah! Anyway, land on his back. A lot of Olympic events are really all or nothing. Really, like weightlifting. You either get that huge bar over your head, or you're going to crash, and it's going to look terrible. And diving is really totally one of those bipolar things that a lot of it is all or nothing. Because if you do it just right, you're going to look awesome enough to perform in a Chinese circus. If you screw up the tiniest thing, you might as well be doing a cannonball at a drunken frat boy party.
Hey.
If it was me diving and I knew I had no chance at all, because, forget it. Like half a dozen competitors are ahead of me scoring 8s or 7.5s, and I'm struggling just to get a 5 or a 6. I would just throw it. I would steal a towel, tie it around my neck like a superhero, like a cape, and just hurl myself from the platform. Like, here I come to save the day. Does anyone do one of those dives off a 50-meter board? No one? No one's done that? Okay. All right. Now, since Doc is going to be late and Geomik is recording this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get changed in front of everybody here. I hope this doesn't make me naked in front of everyone. Don't make me naked! Because that does happen from time to time when you try to get changed. And Lauren's done it a couple of times, and he's run into a few technical issues when he does this. Avert your eyes or you're going to see a naked little cowboy, and it's not pretty. Now, I'm trying to remember. Got married last week. Okay, reading this. Oh, here we go. Found it. First try.
It.
Got it. All right.
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia. Now, I have a little R2-D2 unit here. Try to make it look like. Because, okay, now, has everyone heard that, if anyone who knows anything about Star Wars, J.J. Abrams is directing the next Star Wars. That's what this is about, okay? Now, J.J. Abrams is the guy that resurrected the Star Trek series. He's pretty good. He's the only chance, really, of Star Wars keep on going and not suck like the last 3 movies that came out. You know what I'm talking about? But also he gathered up the old stars. So Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill are in the new movies. They are aged. The story's taking place 35 years after Return of the Jedi, which is how much time has pretty much passed by in real life. And one thing, okay, and if anyone's have seen the books or you read the books of the stories that came after Return of the Jedi, he's completely ignoring that. He's not doing anything from those books. Those books are in another universe. They exist on their own. He's going in completely in an original direction, and thank God for that. Because the books, I don't want to say that they were bad. I just want to say they killed half the galaxy, the entire Han Solo family, and Chewbacca died when he rode a moon into the sun. Which is totally not cool. Okay, that's a pretty badass way to check out. But that's my childhood hero you're kind of messing around with there, and that's not cool. Okay, so I'm looking for R2-D2. Freebie, Land Bonds, Ivory Ward. There it is. R2-D2. So I'm going to do a little recording, and I'm going to send it to J.J. Abrams. So I'm going to move him forward. I'm going to move him down. Yeah.
This is being recorded.
Okay. I'll just need to position myself. And I'll zoom in on R2 so my avatar won't wander around too much. And I'll cue up the script, which is on the wrong screen. Not that one. Hate it when that happens. It's like, I've been opening every single new document in the other screen. Why did you open this one in this screen? It's like, you no. Ugh. Okay, I'm ready to go. So we're going to do 3, 2, 1, and we're going to record. So 3, 2, 1. J.J. Abrams, you breathed new life into a franchise that was long thought expired. Now we beg of you to help in our struggle against dismantling of our childhood by a series of books that have killed off our childhood heroes and prequel movies that made them suck. I only regret that I cannot send you this message in person, but the restraining order that came from your law office says I can't come within 100 miles of your home in Los Angeles. This is our most desperate hour. Help us, J.J. Abrams. You're our only hope. And that's that. Help us, J.J. Abrams. You're our only hope. So we got a video of that, and I'm going to take the clip of that, if I may. Do I have permission? Before I steal anyone? Yeah, I'm going to steal everybody's stuff. And I'm going to send that video clip to J.J. Abrams. Help us, J.J. Abrams. You're our only hope. Please. Okay, I gotta change out of this outfit because it's making me itch. And I'm not gonna look around for another outfit. I'm just gonna put on the there. Oh, there it is. SL10B varsity outfit. Blah 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 blah. Look place. By the way, hilarious thing. Recently, Carrie Fisher has been interviewed about her role of playing Princess Leia again, and she said, and I swear to God, this is in her Twitter feed, she is fighting to bring back the buns. She wants the buns back. Remember the hair buns? Mm-hmm. She said, I want the hair buns. We're going to bring back the buns. And I thought, you're in your 60s now, but okay. I hope that woman's hitting the gym because you do realize she is a Jedi. You know, she's going to have to be kicking ass. But, Christopher Lee did it in his 80s. He was in the Star Trek. He was Count Dooku. He just turned 92 years old today. And he is metal as fuck. That guy. He's in a metal band. He's doing recordings. Oh gosh, KO's telling me that my AO override is having a script crash. But yeah, today is Christopher Lee's 92nd birthday. You want to know how totally badass he is? There was a scene you remember in Return of the King where he falls off the tower and he dies because he lands on this giant wheel thing that had spikes coming out of it, and the spikes went through his back. And the director, what was the director's name of the Lord of the Rings series? Peter Jackson. He told him what it was going to sound like, and Christopher Lee corrected him, and he said, that's not the sound that happens when you impale a human being through their back. I know what it sounds like. You know why he knows what it sounds like? Because Christopher Lee's job at the end of World War II was to find Nazi war criminals and execute them. That's what he did. He is the original James Bond. He toured with Ian Fleming to look for Nazi war criminals at the end of World War II, and they hunted them down and they killed them. That's how badass Christopher Lee was. And later on, if you remember, Christopher Lee actually became a Bond villain in the James Bond movie, Man with the Golden Gun. So that guy, happy birthday, happy 92nd birthday to Christopher Lee. I hope he makes it to 100. By the way, my favorite vampire movies of all time are the ones with Christopher Lee. I got about 6 of them. Okay. What else we got here? Oh, and you know what happened recently in the news? George Clooney is getting married, finally. Can you believe this? Like, if anyone I thought was going to be like a bachelor, for as long as George Clooney, George Burns has been alive, I thought he was going to make it to 100, not be married, but no, he's getting married. I think that when they announced that he was off the market, get a load of this, it started a rumor that he was dead. I am dead serious about this. That George Clooney, of course, he has his own group of bachelor friends that he hangs out with. One of them is Pat Oswalt's brother, Matt Oswalt. Matt Oswalt tweeted that he wouldn't have to compete with George Clooney for the ladies anymore, and he was glad of this. And he was joking, yeah, I'd like to pick up the ladies over at Denny's or something. Well, guess what? That started a rumor that George Clooney had passed away. And it was actually on the Twitter feed. If you could check the history of Twitter feed, I have no idea if you could, but it would say that there's R.I.P. George Clooney. And, of course, a lot of people do this for jokes all the time, but that was actually sincere. They thought George Clooney died. They said he's not on the market anymore. No, that's not the first assumption that he made, that he actually was getting married. Of course, a lot of people made those assumptions. These are the same types of guys that think for weddings and funeral, it's all the same thing anyway. You have to dress the same, don't you? You know, you wear the same tux to a wedding or a funeral. You know, you're either going to get buried in it or you get married in it. Either way, your life is over. You know? Okay. Laura Prepon. I have no idea who that woman is, but apparently a lot of people are paying attention to this. Laura Prepon shoots down the rumor she's dating Tom Cruise. Silly rumor mongers. Laura sounds like a girl. Hmm? Okay. Rumor mongers.
This is CNN interrupting your program with breaking news.
Breaking news.
Tamara Hayden is in the house.
Yes!
Tamara Hayden will be singing in 1/2 an hour.
And I just got an update, group notice sent by Ayesha Litton, that Tamara Sands is here. Tamara, we might be bringing you on early tonight because if Doc's not going to make it and I'm up here all by myself, I can't really keep these people entertained for another half hour. But I want to give Doc a chance. If he's not here by 1:45, let's call it a night, and we'll let Tamara get set up. And if she needs a little extra time, we'll just keep talking. I'll keep you entertained. All right? How's that sound to everybody? Is that a plan? Is that a plan? Early then. Thank you so much, Tamara. I appreciate that. I do realize it puts you out a little because you got so much to get ready, but I'm going to buy as much time as we can to give Doc Grant a chance to show up and for you to get stuff on stage. All right. Let's see.
Oh, what breaking news, CNN recap. CNN recap. The reason Doc Grunt is not here is that the electric power in his home was off. It remains a possibility that he may get power at any time. If he does, CNN will immediately notify you. If he does not, CNN will still notify you in 5 minutes.
You mean he's not in a car driving around trying to get free Wi-Fi off of someone, the lazy bastard? I mean, come on. What is the first thing you do when there's a blackout? I told you, Canadians, we get organized. You know, Americans, they break into places. Me, I get in my car and I drive around looking for Wi-Fi so I can get the hell on Second Life. That's what I do in a blackout. It's like, I got to suck up Wi-Fi off of someone. Anyone. I'll go to McDonald's if I have to. I don't care. You know, I have no pride. No pride. Speaking of going around all over the place, today was my first experience. I have brand new reading glasses. Anyone know that they're not bifocals anymore? They're the progressives, which means that they look far away on top, but down below, it's for reading. And my glasses are very strong. I'm a -6 diopter. That's as bad as they get before I get a white cane. All right. If my eyesight gets any worse, I won't have to worry about what my glasses are like because they'll just be a pair of shades and a white cane is all I'm going to get. But I got the reading glasses, and today for the first time I rode a bicycle on them. Yeah, that is really disorientating because, like I said, if you're looking at far away, which is what you should be doing when you're on a bike, but when you look down your feet with the road passing by below you, it's all just a terrible blur if you're not looking at it the right way, and it's very disorientating. But the progressives are, they were invented so people could no longer have to look like they're walking around with a church stained glass window on their face. Like when I was a kid, when my grandma had bifocals, I swear I thought she stole them from St. Paul's Cathedral. All right? Now, right now, I'm having all the fun of wearing reading glasses for the first time, and there's a few things I wish that people warned me about them before. Because, there's a list. There should be a list, and I'm gonna go through it. And that is like going downstairs for the first time ever. That's fun. Someone told me, yeah, you're gonna miss the bottom step a lot. And of course, if the cat is wandering around down there, it's like, well, I pray to God a raccoon did not sneak into the house. But I'm just going to assume that this furry thing brushing against my leg is something that I'm supposed to be feeding right now, because I honestly have no idea. All right. Oh, and my favorite thing, when you got walking around reading glasses, going around barefoot, and by the way, I collect a lot of Lego. It's like a minefield around here. All right? All right. Now, what happened recently in the news? In the news, some Swedish guy invented a better wood-splitting axe. The 19th century called and said, "Thanks a lot for being 120 years late with that idea." Asshole. Honestly, I read this article. It was posted on Yahoo News. Now, Yahoo News has got to be the laziest news source that you could ever go to. Okay? They never cite what their sources are. They never provide links to the original article. And in a story like this one, they didn't even provide a picture. Nothing. They just cut and paste text from other articles with no investigation whatsoever. And then I found out later it's not really surprising. The Yahoo News staff used to be White House correspondents during the Bush administration. Now let me go. Here's something I actually. Here's something I never had a chance to go into. I just found something here. You remember I did Star Wars, the thing, right? I found a bunch of Star Wars jokes, and I never had a chance to go into this before. This was a bit that I cut earlier, so there's some brand new stuff I got for you, just for you tonight, just to buy some time until Leader Doc comes up or I get Tamara Sands on stage. But here's some old Star Wars jokes. Okay, here we go. What do you call stormtroopers playing Monopoly? Anyone? What do you call stormtroopers playing Monopoly? Game of Clones. I will apologize. Some of these jokes do have to do with the prequels of 1 to 3. I'm very sorry about that. Okay. Why did the angry Jedi cross the road? This should be an easy one. Angry Jedi crossed the road to get to the dark side, huh? Come on, that's an old one. I remember when I was a kid. All right. Unfortunately, here. Oh God, here's one of the prequel jokes. When did Anakin's Jedi masters know that he was leaning towards the dark side? When did they find out? Anakin was leaning towards the dark side. They found out in the Sith grade. Get it? Sixth grade. Okay. Why do doctors make the best Jedi? Why do doctors... This is a really easy one. Because a Jedi must have patience, my friend. Jedi must have patience. Roses are red, violets are blue. If you love Star Wars, may the Force be with you. I really should read these before I read them out loud. I'm not vetting these. They're just coming to you raw. Okay. How is a duct tape like the Force? How is a duct tape like the Force? Okay, well, yeah, you're pretty much, I think you got there. It has a dark side, a light side, and it binds the galaxy together. There you go. I like that one. That's pretty cool. All right. Binds the galaxy together. Penetrates us. Okay. What do you call a Sith who won a fight? I don't get this. Oh, no. What do you call a Sith who won't fight? And he's got a lisp. He's a Sithy. Sithy. He's a Sithy. That's what he is. He's a Sithy. Little Nancy Sith. Okay, that done. Where does Princess Leia go shopping for clothing and such? At the Darth Mall, of course. That joke would have made more sense if it was the other princess. The one that passed away. I've forgotten her name already. I don't care. I don't like those old movies anymore. Yeah, Padme. They should have said, where does Padme go? Because she's the one that actually ran into Darth Maul. Okay, what do you call 5 Siths piled on top of a lightsaber? Wow, that's pretty dark. Get it? That's pretty dark. Yeah. 5 Siths. Okay. Yeah, you call it a Sith kebab. Sith kebab. Okay. What do you? Oh man, I remember this one from high school. This is super old. Okay, what do you call a Jedi in denial? Jedi in denial. Obi-Wan cannot be. Obi-Wan cannot be. Okay. I love Chewbacca. He's my favorite character. They have really good jokes of him. Okay. What do you call Chewbacca when he has chocolate stuck in his hair? And you know that's an issue. I mean, just ask Reginald over there. Hey, Reginald, right? You're having yourself a little ice cream sandwich, and it's all over the fur. It gets in everything. What do you call it when that happens to Chewbacca? You got yourself a chocolate chip Wookie. Chocolate chip Wookie. I thought that one was cute. All right. Cameron, you getting ready over there? Any more updates there, Faker? More updates? Okay, I'm on my own. All right. Keep going with Star Wars. Good. Good. Okay. Why is a droid mechanic never lonely? A droid mechanic like R2-D2. R2-D2's never lonely. Why is that? Because he's always making new friends. Honestly, when I was a kid, I had a theory. I thought R2-D2 actually built C-3PO, and that was the only reason why he put up with his shit all the time. Like, why else would you hang out with someone that annoys you constantly? Right? I mean, we know why C-3PO hangs around R2-D2. He's useless without him. Okay, R2-D2 is the go-getter of the two, right? C-3PO can't do anything on his own, but why does R2-D2 put up with C-3PO? When I was a kid, I thought because he built him. And then it turns out that Darth Vader built him, and I thought, okay, wouldn't that have made the dinner they had at Bespin all the more awkward? It's like, we're glad that you could join us for dinner, and I see you have my old droid with you. How the hell did you get your hands on that? You know, there's something that, the prequel movies kind of... You didn't think that through, did you? Okay. Here we go. What did the Ranker say after he ate a Wookiee? What did the Rancor say after he ate a Wookiee? He said that was very chewy. By the way, does anyone here read Amazon reviews? Amazon reviews. A lot of them are
all the time. Yeah.
There's people that make stuff up, right? Where they go into one of the funniest ones I've ever read was a wall mount bracket for a stupid little for a TV mount, and then people they come up with poetry dedicated to this thing, and it's just drop dead funny. It's like one of the most hilarious things ever. Okay, now I wish I could show you a picture of it. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to post it. All I can do really is post a link to it in General Talk. Now, does everyone remember Return of the Jedi? There was that big floating barge that Jabba the Hutt had, and it had those two smaller things that were following him. And what happened was somebody actually built one of those things commercially, and you can buy it. And it is for sale right now. You can buy it. It costs something like $12,000. And there's a bunch of hilarious reviews of this thing. And I'm going to read one of them to you. I absolutely love it. So it's a review of the JL421 Badonkadonk. They call it the Badonkadonk. That's its actual name from Star Wars. The Badonkadonk Land Cruiser tank from Return of the Jedi. All right, I'm going to read this out to you. Okay, now this is a review from someone who actually bought one of these tanks, allegedly. Of course, a lot of these reviews are just made up to be funny. This is someone who worked on the tank. All right, here we go. Review for the JL Badonkadonk Land Cruiser tank. There was this one dude that I used to work for on Tatooine. It was a pretty sweet gig. Some people claim that this thing was called a Badonkadonk because that's the noise it made as it rattled along. That's nonsense. We had that thing covered in liquor and naked ladies shaking their junk all over the place. We got messed up. We took it for joyrides in the desert. We got it shot up by sand people when we got too close to their turf, and that thing just kept on going. It was awesome. Now, I remember this one time we were so hungover after a night of partying and playing bocce with thermal detonators. We were throwing hookers to the rain car. We were fucked up, okay? Next morning, we were so hungover, we can barely stand. Like, I'm on top of the Badonkadonk, swaying all over the place and praying I don't pass out and fall off the bloody thing. Now, we're escorting the party barge that's got what's his name inside, my old boss, to the Sarlacc pit, and we're going on our way down there to toss in a couple of loafers and some Wookiee because they owed the boss money. Man, never ask for an advance in that place. Ooh. Anyway, turns out one of these bums is a Jedi. Someone palms his ass a laser sword and all hell breaks loose. I remember Boba Fett was so stoned he couldn't even use his legs. He just Leroy Jenkins his way into battle on a jetpack and he didn't last 30 seconds. Bam! Down the Sarlacc pit. Lost a lot of co-workers down Nature's Garburator that day. But, it's okay. I owe them a lot of money. I'm terrible at playing sabacc. Well, the party barge blew up like a fireworks festival that went totally wrong. I'm suspicious that had something to do with several thousand gallons of illicit booze that was on board. Anywho, throughout the whole ordeal, the JL421 Badonkadonk Land Cruiser tank